So first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Antonio Valladares. I'm CEO and managing partner in the area of integration of Code10, and I have more than 16 years experience in integration, especially with SAP middlewares, but not only with SAP middlewares. And across all my career, I did a lot of different projects of implementations, migrations of PIPO to integration suite, etc. So before we jump to the topic itself, let me do a small introduction of our company. So Code10, we are a very technical consulting firm. We also cover functional areas and project management areas, but our core, the strength, is in the technical part. So we divided our strengths into 4 different groups. First, we have the group of integration, where we have expertise in SAP PIPO, Integration Suite, View, Boomi, and MuleSoft. But not only these 4 middlewares, we also have experience in another middlewares that are market leads. Then we have the area of development. Over there, we started in the classical SAP core development, so also known as ABAP. And then we extend the development first to Fiori, and then to the cloud development in the BTP. Like it could be from low code, no code, so SAP build, to pro code with CAP and RAP, all these techniques. But not only we develop in the BTP, we also are oriented at full stack development in the cloud. So over there we have teams that they know all the cloud languages like Node.js, React Native, etc. And with the services of AWS or Google Cloud Platform or Azure, we develop fully cloud applications in different platforms. We also have our data team that is taking the best value of your data in order to bring the business into a different speed. And over there we have data engineers, data analytics, data QA that are experts in different technologies. So not only in SAP technologies, we started with the BW, and recently we moved to the new suite that is called Business Data Cloud. But we also have expertise in other ETL tools, like could be DBT, Databricks, Informatica Cloud, and as well as all the possibilities that AWS or Azure suite can bring to the table, like Redshift, etc., etc. So all these things are very technical, and the remaining area is the compliance. So the compliance is something that we feel comfortable. At the end, we need to submit documents into the different legal institutions that mostly are tax agencies of the different countries, and this requires a set of development and a lot of integration. So this is an area that we are comfortable. We are used to apply not only the DRC standard approach of SAP, but we also have some solutions in the market. We started to launch solutions in the compliance area for things that SAP was not covering. The case of the ticket buy in the Basque Country, or SAFTI Lithuania, or the extraction of the SAFTI files in Poland. That these are new regulations that they will be active next year. And then we extend our portfolio of Code10 solutions also to cover the rest of the implementation. So we have a fantastic UBL structure, and we are capable of sending electronic files to almost every agency in Europe or in South America. We are a company that offers services, but we offer services and we try to have some products behind. No? So we have the compliance hub, that is our product that is in charge of sending the different electronic documents into the different tax agencies, and the Code10 Accelerator. The Code10 Accelerator is mostly what we will be talking today, because it helps us to achieve PIPO migrations or achieve integration suite migrations in a very agile way, and it brings a lot of value to the table. I hope that we will have time to discover all the possibilities today. Okay, so PIPO migration. First of all, and I know that everybody of you here is aware that the PIPO will be expired in 2027, December 2027. But it's quite important to mention why we believe that this will be like that, and it will not be postponed and postponed again. No? So the main reason is because PIPO is based on Java 8, and Oracle already launched the date to confirm that they will not longer maintain Java 8 further than December 2030. If we check the different dates that we have in SAP, we see that December 2027 is when there will be end of maintenance, but it will be extended with extension-based station maintenance until December 2030. That's exactly the date where Oracle stops supporting Java 8. So we believe that even though in another different products of SAP, it might be the possibility that SAP will extend the maintenance, we believe that for the old Java 8 based products, SAP will not longer be capable of extending the support longer than 2030. Of course, you can continue using the software without maintenance. It's something that we do not recommend, but keep this date in mind. Okay. Okay. So now it's clear. No, we have a mission, so we need to migrate to PIPO. PIPO. But our mission should not be only having the check. Okay, we did the migration, we did a technical migration, and that's all. We have the same problems as we had before, but now in a brand new platform. No, this is not our mission. So what we want to do is establish the governance and the architecture for the next 20 years. And for that, we have a vision. Okay, so our vision is that what we try to do in Integration Suite and also in a different middleware, because Integration Suite is not only our unique option, but is what we are going to talk about today. But whatever middleware that you move, the idea is to create and build the foundings of the integration architect that you want to have in the future. And the integration architect is very different from what we were doing in PIPO. Just remember that PIPO was launched in 2006, 07, somewhere like that. I don't recall exactly the date, but the internet and the world has changed a lot, and the domain of integration has changed a lot since then. So I think it's time to modernize the integrations. So for that, what we try to do and how we try to do. So we call what we call Code10 CI Accelerator. Code10 CI Accelerator started to be a set of tools that it was helping us internally to do the projects. But at the end, it was more than that. No? So these tools without a methodology and governance, they were not making clear. So at the end, Code10 CI Accelerator for us, it becomes more than a project. It becomes methodology because we develop our own methodology that we will go in the next slides to explain what we are doing. We have again the tools that was the origin of the name. So our tools were evolving a lot in the last 4 years already that Code10 CI Accelerator is in the market. And governance. So governance is one of the things that we should not forget. We need to define. We need to do the things, but we need to define how, why, and how they should be used. Okay. So what is the value of our more than a product thingy? So the value of Code10 CI Accelerator is to speed up the journey to Integration Suite. Okay. This again is an acceleration for greenfield implementations and for migrations. Okay, it works for both because it's like a set of tools that you will see that it will help you to build or to migrate your integration scenarios to Integration Suite. But the most important quality of this is that we are proud of to improve the quality of the integrations. Quality and governance. So the idea of using integration patterns is not only to solve problems that you will have in the future, like retry mechanism, error handling, monitoring problems, etc. But it's also to do the things in the same way. And then we will have an integration landscape with all the integrations built and managed in the same way. So improving the quality and the governance, if you ask me, that will be the biggest benefit of using our Code10 CI accelerator. Okay, so let me explain a little bit why and how it was our value proposal. No? So again, during the last 7 years, we were doing projects for very large enterprise about integration suites, and during these projects, we were spending a lot of time of preparation, sometimes even 6 months of preparation, just to start the real project. And what we were doing during this preparation, so we were doing proof of concepts of the different scenarios that we will have challenges. We were doing a proof of concept of, okay, how we will build a retry mechanism, or we will do a proof of concept of how to alert when there will be an error. But also we were building blueprints for the different scenarios. So how we will do when we have a IDOC2 ground scenario, or IDOC2 cloud, or ABAP proxy that we need to migrate into a SOA message for that. So we were, or ADI, or synchronous scenarios, or very complex synchronous scenarios. We will have a lot of operations. So at the end of the day, we were blueprinting a lot of different scenarios in order to be able to decide, okay, this is the architecture that we want to use, and let's start the project. Now we solve the problems of the proof of concept for the different challenges that we will face, and we would blueprint almost all the scenarios that we will migrate. Now we can start the project. What happened is that most of the companies, they don't have this time. So at the end, the lack of discovery and the lack of knowledge on how you want to do your things in integration suite, plus not having an architectural plan, it was leading in unhappiness. So I was hearing complaints about different customers that we meet in different venues and so on. Oh, I'm not very happy with integration suite. No, in PIPO, we have better monitoring. Or in PIPO, I have the possibility of retry the errors, the message with error. Or in PIPO, blah, blah. This means that PIPO is a better tool? No, it's not. Sorry, 1 second. So, PIPO, it was a different tool. And integration suite is an empty canvas that we need to shape in order to describe the integration of the future. So, what we try to do with all the CI accelerator concept and methodology and package, no? So what we try to do is pack all the knowledge that we have, not only from my personal experience, but all Code10 team, into one single package. We evolve it. We launch releases every 6 months with the actual scenarios that we cover, or if we do something better, or if we find an improvement, or if we find a case that it can add value to the package. And this is a democratization of the know-how, okay? Because we start the projects with all this knowledge, and we save a lot of time and money, not only for our customers, but also for us. So, at the end of the day, what has been proved is that having a proper methodology and having a Code10 CI accelerator, this leads with a success. So, we are very happy to say that this has been recognized as well by SAP. So in the Business Accelerator Hub, you can find our case of the Code10 CI accelerator, that again, methodology, tools, and governance of integration suite. You can find it in the Business Accelerator Hub, the case, but also you can find the applications that we develop for BTP in the SAP store. If you want to see some videos over there, if not, reach us, we can do a demo for you. And now today we are going to show as well the BTP apps that we develop in order to enhance the functionalities of Code10 Accelerator. So let's first talk about how it looks like, or methodology, okay? So methodology has different steps. And the first step probably is, for me, the one that is the most important, is the assessment. So in the assessment, what we need to do over there is identify the problems. Try to advance what problems we will have during the implementation and what challenge or what things we will need to redefine in terms of infrastructure. Okay? We put a lot of emphasis in the assessment because it's very easy to say, you have 200 interfaces or 1,000 interfaces, we will do the project in 4, 6, 12 months. Like that. No. There are things that are migratable now. There are things that they will be migratable in some months or next year. And there are other things that they need to be refactored. And this is very important to identify them during the migration assessment. So not only running the migration assessment tool from SAP, it will help you to do that, but also it requires some analytical changes that we do, some analysis in order to determine these things. I always say the same story. When we run the assessment tool of SAP, there were some scenarios that they were saying, ready to migrate, size S. And I was like, oh my God. Luckily, I know this customer, and I know that these integration scenarios are not migratable because they were using a resource adapter pool of a JDBC that this is, at this moment, there is not a roadmap to be migrated. So all these scenarios, they need to be refactored because in PIPO, having a specific deployed resource adapter with a number of connections because they were using intensively JDBC connections, that's not longer a valid migration path. And also, definitely is not an S. So 40 out of the 200 interfaces that these customers had, they were not migrated, and the migration assessment was showing as an S. So that's why I'm saying migration assessment can lead to moments of panic when you think that everything is migratable and it's not. Out of the assessment, we need to compose a migration plan with execution, okay? And why a migration plan? Because then we compose a proposal, and the proposal is where we propose a methodology based on waves. So this methodology is very similar to what SAP calls SAP-validated methodology, but we call it Code10 methodology, Code10 activate methodology. Okay, so we divide the scope into different waves. Sometimes we start with small waves in order to create the customer, confidence in the new tool. We already checked the connectivity with the most interesting systems, etc. And we increase the complexity of the waves during the whole project. This wave composition, it has a benefit. It has a benefit not only for us, but also for the customer, that we reduce the team members' downtime because our development team start to develop the wave 1, and then the wave 2, and then the wave 3, and then the wave 4. And the testing team that is together with the customer, they start to testing the wave 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are able to almost overlap the occupation for all the project members during the whole time of the project. And it has another benefit that we will speak about that in the hypercare part. The third step in the migration is the execution. So here we have different things that we like to use from Integration Suite. First, we have integration content already built by SAP, but we have as well our integration patterns that are part of Code10 CI Accelerator. That is pre-built content that is provided by Code10 that we reuse it during this migration. So this saves us a lot of time. We solve already all the problems, almost all the problems that we will face with the pre-built integration content that we provide as part of Code10 CI Accelerator. And then, of course, our expertise, and our expertise with a right methodology, this ends up in delivery on time and especially with the best quality. Okay, but our migration roadmap, it doesn't end over there. So for us, it's very important to do a training or a discovery during the project. here seems that is the fourth step, but sometimes we execute it even before the migration. So when the customer is ready to hear, is ready to discover, we like to discover them, how we do the things, what are the capabilities of integration suite, what are the capabilities of BTP, and this will end up in having a better use not only of this service of BTP, but with the rest of the services of BTP. And again, a customer that knows what is happening in their systems is a customer that feels more confident and use better integration suite or BTP capabilities. As well, as part of this training, we teach them how Code10 CI Accelerator works, no? How you can migrate interfaces, how you can use the different layers, the different patterns that we build, and how you can use the different apps that we deploy in your BTP in order to enhance the functionality of integration suite. The last, and here it is the last but not least, is the hypercare and handover. No? So again, the web composition here brings an additional value that we call it always together. So always together is because when we are doing the hypercare and we do the handover either to the customer team or to our AMS team, what happened is that if they have any question or any doubt, we are still there because we are doing the second and third wave. So this methodology of extending the hypercare along the whole project and divide the project in waves end up in having us close by and asking the questions that they need. And this is what we call always together. Okay, now let's jump to the tools and to the facilitators or accelerators that we have in order to execute this migration. Again, I will say, and probably will not be the last time, and also for the greenfield implementations. So please remember that this is valid for migrations of PIPO and greenfield implementations of integration suite. Okay? So we divided the accelerator into two different parts. What we call the add-on, Code10 CI Accelerator add-on. This is no longer more than integration content in packages. And what we do with this is that we cover all the integration scenarios possible, alerting mechanism. It's like a Swiss knife with multiple functionalities that we will discover now that are bring like tools. And then the other part of the CI Accelerator are the Code10 CI Accelerator apps. These are apps, like your phone apps. We install these apps in your BTP, and this improves the monitoring and the governance of the integrations. So, and also the usability. So we develop these apps using the best practice of the SAP Cloud Application Programming, and they are deployed inside your BTP. Why we deploy this in your BTP? Because like that, we don't consume extra cost of messaging because we are internally consuming the URLs and just enabling a couple of services that they are not really much price. You will have a really powerful tools that it will increase your usability of integration suite. Let's go to see them later. Before, let's move on to define what we build in the add-on. The add-on part, just remember, this is integration content. Okay, so the integration content, we have three different blocks in the integration content. The first block is the integration patterns. Here we build patterns for almost everything. Okay, we have patterns for asynchronous communications. We have patterns for exactly once in order communications. We have patterns for synchronous communications, very complex, because if it's a normal synchronous communication with just one iFlow is more than enough. But we found some cases that it require a different architecture inside. Also, we have pattern for public and subscription patterns, okay, using different event brokers. And this is evolving, okay? This is one of the blocks. The second block is alerting and monitoring, okay? The alerting and monitoring block, what it covers is alerting mechanism for every single pattern. And then it's triggered not only to one system, it can be triggered for different ones. We will show you in advance. And we enhance internal monitoring of integration suite as well. And then we have the toolkit. So the toolkit is, this block is where we put everything that doesn't fit in the other two. So over there we have a collection of Groovy scripts that it will speed up your journey to integration suite, because you will have over there a lot of different things. Like, for example, IDOC to flat file converter. You will not lose the time doing a conversion, or you will not use the standard functionality that will send the message back to the backend and convert it. We have disaster recovery. So as you know, there is no backup of integration suite, and if accidentally you delete your tenant, you delete your content. We have a backup mechanism, certificate monitoring, etc., etc. So whatever we cannot fit in the other blocks, we move it to the integration tool. This is the Swiss knife part of the tool. Let me show you. We will not enter in all the patterns, but let me show you just one example and why we are doing the things in that way. Okay. For ADI, we have another pattern, but let's focus in asynchronous, exactly once communication. So, why we build this pattern? We build this pattern because of the experience of building everything in one iFlow. It was leading to problems. So, we have a decoupling step, that is one. We have 4 steps. No? Each step of them is one iFlow. And the first iFlow, we call it the decoupling tier. Okay? The decoupling tier, it has a purpose, because integration in integration suite is always synchronous by definition. So what happens is that if we have scenarios like IDOC to whatever, when we open the connectivity, even though it looks that we are sending an asynchronous message that is the IDOC, the connection is still open until the full iFlow is executed and then trigger back the message to the sender system. So what we do with this step is, hey, I receive the IDOC, or I receive whatever asynchronous message, because this is also applied for different synchronous messages. We put it in a JMS queue and we close the connection. Okay, like that we improve the speeds, not of the integration suite, but from the backends, because we see that some of the customers, when we implement integration suite, they kill the ICM connectivity, do a very high volume of messages to integration suite. Then, second step is the routing tier. So the routing tier, we have different routing tier setups depending on the message that we are receiving. But for example, for the IDOCs, we have a routing tier that works like PIPO more or less. So we identify the sender, the receiver, and the IDOC type, and this we address to the next tier. And with this, we are able to configure it dynamically. So what we are doing is reading the content from a GMS and dispatching via process direct to the next step, that is the application tier. So in the application tier is where we do the mapping itself. Is when we transform, for example, in the case of an IDOC that I was explaining, this IDOC into a flat file. Okay? So it's important to know that if something fails, we establish a retry mechanism between the second and third steps. So if the application tier failed, it moves the message into a deadletted queue that is exactly in the beginning of the second step. So with our retry mechanism, we are capable of read the deadletted queue and start the process again from the determination to the application. Okay. The last tier is the dispatching tier. Again, same philosophy. We don't want to open a connection forever. We want to open a connection, drop the message, and bye-bye. And we want to have the possibility of retry. Because maybe we are sending this IDOC converted to a flat file to an FTP that is not available in this moment, and we don't want that it fail, need to resend it again, the IDOC from the beginning. We will have already transformed, and in this JMS queue, we have the possibility of retriggering the message. So this is why we took some decisions and more that I don't have time to mention it all, but why we decide to use 4 pattern design into asynchronous exactly once scenarios. This applies for IDOCs, this applies even for non-SAP to SAP, or even non-SAP to non-SAP scenarios, in order to have retry mechanisms, in order to have the coupling between sender and receiver, in order to have automatic retry mechanisms, error handling, alerts that we have in the different content, etc., etc., etc. Let's jump now to the monitoring part. So in the monitoring, we have a different vision. We don't, in PIPO, we have an alert mechanism that it was sending us an email, and don't ask me why, but all these emails, they will end up in the spam folder or ignored. At the end, it loses the effect to having this kind of alerting mechanism. So what we did is we integrate the errors directly with the best ITSM tools like Seaside, Jira, Zendesk, ServiceNow. Just name one and we can integrate it. But not only that, we are also capable of sending a message via Teams, Slack, or WhatsApp even, alerting about critical scenarios that are failing, or even assigning dynamically the incidents created in Jira into your Teams chat. So, if you still want emails, we also have the capability of sending alerts by email. That's up to you, but we do recommend to improve the alerting, because at the end, these emails will end up not with no longer effect. But also, I have to say that the alerts that we compose by email are more human readable, they look nicer, and still a very valid option. Okay, so now let's jump to the apps. And but before we jump to the apps, let me first describe what is the architecture of the services that we are using from BTP in order to deploy these apps. No? So we have a user that logs into the system. And we have 2 possibilities of logging. The default one, that is the default identity provider, or the EIM. And why we use 2 different possibilities? Because in further release, we are going to launch a governance that in IAM we can set up roles, so you will not be able to see all the messages that pass through Integration Suite like you can do now with the standard, but you will be able only to see the message that belongs to your role. So we are planning to do a governance, layer of governance of Integration Suite in our Code10 CI Accelerator apps. We deploy, of course, this is an application that is developing Node.js in the backend, and we use React Native in the frontend. We use the theme that SAP is using for Integration Suite, so the look and feel is very similar. And of course, it feels that you are inside the same BTP, and you are in the BTP. So you can navigate from our Code10 CI apps into the standard. Not vice versa, because they don't publish the link, but from the CI apps to Integration Suite, it's quite easy to navigate. We have some multiple buttons. So another component that we have in the architecture, and this is why I always like to spend a little bit of time here explaining, is the SQLite in memory. So what we have here is an in-memory database in order to load the content from Integration Suite. We don't load sensible data, we don't load payloads, we only load statistics about the monitoring. Okay, so if this message was successful, what is the message ID, etc., etc., etc. But we don't load any payload information, so any sensible information. And we decide to do it in an in-memory because it really increases the speed and the user experience. We have also deployment versions that we can load it in persistent database like Postgres or HANA Cloud Database, but it always have the lagging in between of the SQLite in memory for the user experience, because we are able to do monitoring of 30, 40 million mesas. It's proven with some customers, and the speed of navigating over there is really, really fast. Okay, so I think we covered all this part on how we do the front end and the back end, but let's see it live. If you don't mind, we will do a small break. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the computer and start to streaming from there. Hi, hello. I'm here again, now sharing my laptop, and here we are in the welcome screen of the Code10 CI Accelerator to show you the apps. So the first thing that we can see is a dashboard, where we have multiple KPIs, and we can have here, for example, in one shot, to display the certificates that are about to expire, the ones that are expired already, etc. Don't worry, it's not that we keep like that the certificates, but it's useful to have a lot of examples for doing these demos. Okay. We also have the integration dashboard of the iFlows that they end up in error or they are started successfully. We have also here a mini KPI of a mesas monitor, where we can see the mesas that they have been sent in the last 24 hours or 1 hour, group also by status, completed, retried, escalated, and other, and these chart pipes that are looking super nice. We can also see it by sender system. So in this case, the blue one is SAP, but we have another system that is trial IDOC, etc., etc., and by receiver. So who has received each message, and we can see which system has received this message. Okay, so one of the first things that we start to develop in these CI apps is this integration dashboard. So why we are developing an integration dashboard? Because it was an idea that we have together with a customer. They say, we need to enter package by package, and there is not a single point where we can see all of our interface. We need to navigate, go, come, forward, etc. There is not a fast search to search the content. And also, in PIPO, all the good ideas start like that. In PIPO, we were able to start and stop the different communication channels in one single click very fast. How we can do that in Integration Suite? Okay, in Integration Suite, if you want to start and stop the interfaces for whatever reason, in this case, it's because they were doing plant maintenance and they want to stop reading files during the plant maintenance, we create a place that we're filtering like L04. Okay, L04 are all interfaces that are sending, or maybe better, FTP, and they were clicking here. Let's click in some. They started, for example, these ones, and click massive on deploy. Okay, and now to start it again, we can also click here and trigger a deploy of the interface. So basically, what we build here is one single place that allows to search between all the integration content that we have in our system and being able to do start and stop of integration content in one single click. Okay, there is another functionality that it was very useful. That here, for example, we have a version comparison. We compare the version that is deployed in the system with the version that is edited in the system. So in this case, we can see that we don't have the last version deployed in the system, and we need to redeploy this iFlow in order to have the latest version. Okay, we highlighted in bold. I don't know if it's visible on your screen, but trust me, if you are here, you can really see it. Let me show you the start of the applications. No, so the best application that we have is the process monitor. Okay, so the process monitor, this is we call it process monitor because what it monitors are process. So not iFlows, not like what you can see in the standard. We process end to end the whole execution based on correlation API. So for example, if we go here, we can see this scenario that is using of integration patterns. Is a DevMass, is a SAP to ADI broker DevMass scenario using an IDOC, and it executed first, if you recall, the IDOC dispatcher, then the routing layer, then the transformation itself, where we convert a DevMass into a parting EDIFACT message, and then via FTP, we deliver this to an ADI broker. The good point of this is that we can navigate directly to the integration suite, and we can see here the steps executed. This monitor is not only compatible with our process, we also make it compatible with the approach of the SAP, the pipeline concept. So we release these patterns based on steps way before SAP, but we are happy that SAP also adopted this approach for migrating scenarios and for implementing new scenarios of integration suite. So SAP has not only 4 steps for asynchronous communication. For example, for ADI, they have a 7 steps scenario. And here we can see this is a 4-step scenario using the pipeline concept, but I think I can trigger one from Postman that is from SAP to a receiver that I think you will be able to see the 7. Okay, let's not. Okay, no, when you want to show this thing, it's always the worst moment. But we can really show here any configuration. So let me show you how we set up this thing. So basically, we define process with a process ID, a message type, and the sender system that has sent the message for first time into our integration suite. And here we can select from our synchronous or asynchronous patterns the different iFlows that they will be executed and in the order. No? So we have the decoupling tier, routing tier, application tier, or dispatcher tier. But we can also select in a freestyle way, selecting the IDOCs, like 1, the iFlows, sorry, 1, step 2, step 02, inbound processing, and like that, we are adding the step 03, inbound conversion, and these are steps that are imported from the SAP content that they use the pipeline concept of SAP. So it's purely what SAP recommended and is compatible as well with our approach. Okay. What else we build? So what we build is a process retry. So at the end, if we have errors that end up in queues, we can see here the queues with error, we can select, and we can click retry. Probably it will fail because it failed the first time, or we can click here and delete it from the queue. Okay, so let's try to delete this one from the queue, and the message will be sent to deleted, and after restarting here, we see that the one retried has gone, and that the one deleted, it has gone as well. So like that, we are able to resend from the queues where all the errors end up, the different messages one by one. We are improving this to display also from which interface they are. Now is in a beta. This part will be released in September. Let's go to more functionalities. We do have a value mapping. So for the ones that they were working with PIPO, I'm sure that they remember that for when you were working with multiple SAP PIPO systems, we have an Excel that it was connecting and it was loading this information of value mappings into the repository. What we did here is the same Excel, but in a web version and nicer. So for example, we can check WMS, and here we can see all the value mappings that then contain transformations of value of VMS. If we click here, we see that we have two different agencies. One is converting cost centers, and one is converting plants from a cost center. And here we have the different conversions. Sorry, plant to plant and plant to cost center. We can add values here in a very easy way and then deploy, but we can also import and export the values using Excel. I'm running because we are almost out of time, but again, if you want to have a more detailed demo, we can do it anytime. Certificate monitoring. In one click, in one place, all your certificates and all what you can do with certificates. So you can load, renew, update, delete certificates from here, and you can directly click here. Hey, show me the ones that are going to expire in 1 month. This one. Show me in 2 months, all this. Or show me the ones that are expired, all this. So this is very useful to have all the certificates in one single place and being able to update, delete, rename, all the operations that you can do. We also build a trading partner, TPM, for ADI oriented, because there are some scenarios that the TPM of SAP, when we released this, TPM from SAP, it was not released yet, and we have some scenarios that we are able to cover better from our TPM rather than the TPM of SAP. So, sorry, 1 second, I will ask if somebody can plug my computer, because I expect I'm running out of battery. Now, yes. And last but not least, this is another thing that we are still in beta and still not deployed, is that we create an AI chat in order to validate and to work with integration suite. So we can ask, please, certificates expiring this month, send. And I hope that there is no hallucination from the AI. And yes, it tells me the certificates that are going to expire this month. Or we can do like value mappings with the name VMS, and we should be able to see all the value mappings that we were displaying before. And like that, for example, if you are a developer, you can really go and see, do I have value mappings that do conversions related with the VMS values? Oh, yes, we have these ones, and there is a description of what it does, etc., etc. So it's easy to reuse the things, especially in large corporations where the idea of reusing it's more appropriate. Okay, so I don't know if there is any question in the chat. I have here my colleagues, but if there is any question, I will be very happy to respond to the question. And if not, I will be thank you for your time. Do we have a question?
Yes. Can you answer, please, if there is already an integration suite, can we have also the BTP applications?
Yes, of course. So if you already started a project of integration suite and you already built some and you have it running, Of course, we can configure the apps. The apps are now distributed standalone, so you don't need to use our patterns or the integration content that is part of CA Accelerator. We can go install the Code10 apps, and we will help you to set up all this process monitoring that it is compatible with. I mentioned the pipeline concept, but it's compatible with whatever integration architecture that you define. So if you have already defined an integration architecture that is based on steps, or even you don't use steps and you have a single message flow and you want to start to use it, this is fully compatible. Okay.
Perfect. We have another question. Do you do migrations to other middleware which are not integration suites?
No, we do migration to whatever middleware it is in the market. We are very happy with doing migrations to Boomi, MuleSoft, and of course Integration Suite. This web binary was oriented from the migration from PIPO to Integration Suite because we have all these accelerators, but the methodology and the good practice that we implement, they are valid for the rest of the middlewares. When we do the assessment phase, one outcome that we do is to also evaluate which is the most suitable middleware that you need to migrate. So it's not only if you have already taken the decision, I want to migrate to X, then of course we respect that, but we always provide why and what could be the benefits of using different middlewares that they are in the market. We work with the if you go to the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, we are specialized in all that they are in the top right quadrant.
Perfect. Thank you.
Not any more questions?
No.
Super. Great. Thank you very much. And we will now go for a period in summer where we will not do any more webinars. But in the next webinar, we want to show you how we do a migration of scenarios. It will be a very short one, and we will do more like a hands-on scenario probably back in September. Please stay tuned. Follow us in LinkedIn. Follow us in our web in order to know the next webinars. And thank you very much for attending. Do not hesitate to contact us or to contact me personally if you want to extend this information. Thank you very much.